If you can be neutral and can actually see what is really happening in this phase, in the audit, you can truly be honest with yourself, take radical responsibility without guilt. Radical responsibility means maybe looking at asking yourself how I showed up in social media, how I know that I can show up, how I invested in myself, how I worked on my nervous system so I didn't feel guilty and shame and all the things during the year. Hello, my people. How are you doing? Welcome to the Be You Brand podcast. And this is going to be one of those episodes that you want to grab a pen, a piece of paper, and you may want to come back to this a few times because we're going to talk about planning for your best year yet. And I know there is a lot of people that talk about planning your year, planning for the income that you want, for the life that you want. But I am actually going to break it down for you because when I first started my business, the first few years, I didn't really know how to plan, what to look for. And once I started truly planning around this time of the year, everything changed. And you know that I love sharing with you all those moments of change, because those are the ones that when you start realizing what is helping other people, you can truly take what serves you and make it your own. So this version of the roadmap for 2024 iteration or a repetition of what I did last year. In 2022, it was the first year that I actually planned. But at the end of 2022, I set out to truly say, okay, what are my goals? How can I reach them? We literally double our revenue this year from last year. I think that is no coincidence, right? Because I know that the reason why that happened is because I had these clear goals. And I'm going to show you what are the things that I believe you need to be doing right now. This is Thanksgiving weekend. I hope you had an amazing holiday. And I'm actually recording this on Friday night. And I spent a few hours going through the first phase, which I'm going to share with you. And I'm going to spend the next few days going through the rest of the phases. And the reason for this is because this project or this process may take you a few days for you to have clarity and for you to really, truly get in touch with what you want to create, and actually how to create it. So let's get it started. This is the thing. There is a saying that says, failing to plan is planning to fail. I want you to repeat that in your mind. Failing to plan is planning to fail. As many of us, we are solopreneurs, we're small businesses. We are businesses, maybe you have an assistant, maybe you have a VA, but you don't have a team to sit down and plan with. And I think that this is where we don't realize that big companies, people that are making 6, 7, 8 figures, they are doing this kind of planning. So planning is the key for success. And I didn't know how to plan or what to look for the first few years of my business. Let's get started. Phase number 1 is the audit phase. And I kind of want to walk you through these. I have a ton of notes that I'm looking out today because I don't want to forget any of the details of this roadmap, right? And I have it written down. I'm going to be making some posts on social media around this, and I would love to hear from you because I truly believe that this can change your business forever, and this can give you so much clarity. Okay, so let's get started. So there is going to be 4 phases to this process. Phase number 1 is the audit. Now, in the audit, you're not just auditing your business. We are going to audit everything. We're going to audit your life, and we're going to audit your business. Now, under these, you're going to audit your offers? What did you sell? What did you offer this year? How did you spend most of your time? And you want to determine what worked for you. What did you love doing? What did you not love doing? What do you want to do more of? And again, this is both for life and business. The reason for this is because I believe that in order for you to have a successful business, you have to be loving what you're doing. And I'm going to give you some examples of this as we go. But what do you want to do less of? Again, life and business. At the end of the day, we're looking at all these things. You're looking at data on your life, on your business. And what you want to determine is what needs to change. What do you want it to be different? And you want to create your vision. You want to create a vision of how you want things to be and how they will feel for you. Now, I know that sometimes it's really easy to get caught up on, I want to make this much money. I want to, sell this much. But I want you to really ask yourself, how do I want my life and my business to feel? My word actually for 2023 was spacious. It was happy, healthy, wealthy, and spacious. I wanted my year to feel fun. And what happened was at the beginning of the year, when I started launching and doing all the boot camps, and in March, I was doing breath work. I had this vision that I wanted to host an event. It wasn't on my plan. And for a minute, I had this kind of am I going to do it? I'm not going to do it. It's not in my plan. How much is it going to cost? But this is the thing. It actually felt very fun and very spacious. And what I did is I truly follow the breadcrumbs of this. And it was the best decision I could have made because I was not only so happy while I was planning this, it made my whole year feel amazing. You have to do this in a way that makes sense for you. Okay, I'm a manifesting generator, Enneagram 7, and for me, fun and new and exciting, it's always something that pays off for me. When I follow with the breadcrumbs of what I want to do, it's always a win. Well, you have to understand how you work, but I will promise you this, that if you follow what feels good, and we're going to go into a minute to differentiate what actually feeling good or out of alignment or maybe even being out of your comfort zone actually means, because when I hosted the event, I was fucking uncomfortable, okay? It was scary and there were so many new things. However, it felt fun and exciting and I couldn't wait. A lot of the people get really stuck when it comes to the audit, because let's say that you look back and you didn't hit your numbers. And just so you know, I want to be so transparent on this because at the beginning of the year, I put a kind of a random number. I didn't really do this with really looking at a lot of a strategy. And I put a random number that I wanted to hit this year. What happened is I know we're going to be close, but we're not going to hit it. However, we already in November double our revenue from last year. And I actually was able to pay myself a lot more than I paid myself last year. What does this mean to you is you have to understand that the number is just a guideline. So there is so many layers to this. We looked at our numbers. I was like a hawk looking at our budget the whole year so I could pay myself more as the CEO. I was looking at where our money was going. I was looking at what our marketing efforts, what were the ones that were bringing the most return on investment. So in this audit, I see this is where most women get stuck. They get stuck in shame. They get stuck on doubt. And many times they believe where they are now is a reflection of where they'll be in the future. And the truth is that's actually not the truth. Okay, so it is important that you take this phase and you can detach yourself and your emotions from the actual data that you are looking at. Because the truth is, I'm going to give you an example of this. I actually read this. It wasn't my post, but somebody that I follow that I absolutely love and I know her in person, she had a killer Black Friday sale, and she was letting us all know in the stories how it was going. And she told a story and posted from 2 years ago that she had a Black Friday offer. And after the Black Friday offer was over, she didn't sell anything. Zero. And she put it under there. She's like, you know what that means? Nothing. It means nothing about you. So the number that you created in your business, or maybe how much you sold, or it means nothing. All it means is that it's feedback. It's feedback. Maybe you weren't excited about what you were selling. Maybe you didn't know how to sell it. Maybe there could be so many reasons. But the reason why I'm saying this is because if you can be neutral and can actually see what is really happening in this phase, in the audit, you can truly be honest with yourself, take radical responsibility without guilt. Radical responsibility means maybe looking at asking yourself how I showed up in social media, how I know that I can show up, how I invested in myself, how I worked on my nervous system so I didn't feel guilty and shame and all the things during the year. So again, you are auditing both your life and your business because they're truly just one. In this audit phase, there is a few things that I actually want to share with you that I do. So when I start this audit phase and I start looking back into the year, another thing that I do in this phase is I have already, in my particular case, this could be a little bit different for you, okay? For example, I downloaded the whole school calendar already. The first thing that is going to go on my calendar, even when I'm auditing, is going to be having all of the days that there is no school for my kid, because I like taking those days off so we can do something. Now he's a little bit older, and honestly, he didn't really care for it this year. But up to now, this was important for me because I wanted to take him to do things. I wanted to take him to the museum, or I wanted to take him to do something on the Las Vegas Strip, or whatever it was. Maybe watch a show, maybe even hang out at home. But for me, it was important that the days that he was off from school, I was off too. So those days went on the calendar and they were blocked. So the second thing that went into my calendar, even before I started doing any planning during the audit phase, was my husband and I, we sat down and we kind of mapped out the holiday trips. So this is summer vacation because that one is the most important one that we take. We also look at our day nights, okay? When are we going to be doing day nights? For us, lately, it has been Wednesdays. For you, this could be on a Friday now. For our schedule, this is how it works because he works weekends. But I want you to think, if you want to build a business that works for you, you also need to audit. How much did I stick to my plan? So for me, when this year started, I said that I wanted to take a Friday off every month. Besides the other days that I'm off, I wanted to have a 4-day work week at least once a month. To be honest, I didn't stick with it. We launched the podcast, we had the event, there were so many things happening, so I didn't really stick with it. So this year, I'm actually blocking that Friday going in because that way people can book me. So if I'm not booked, right, for calls, that makes it easy already for me to take that day off. Again, this audit phase is so important because everything that you're going to do is going to be based on what you write about this audit, right? You can look back and you can be like, I made the money I wanted, but I felt fucking miserable. Or the other way around, I felt so free, but the money I made, it wasn't enough for what I want to be making. The other thing is when you are looking at all of this, I want this to be so comprehensive for you. I want this audit to be something that you truly pay attention, and a lot of the questions may be different for you than they are for me, okay? So I would love for you to tell me when you do this audit, if you feel like I forgot something. I am thinking that this can be a great workbook for people next year as I refine my own system. So I would love to hear from you as you take notes and as you going through this on your journal. I would love for you to say, oh, this could be a great question. This would be something amazing to do during the audit. Okay. So the next phase is going to be knowing your numbers. Okay. This is the know your numbers phase, and this is phase 2. And this is the phase that a lot of people completely skip. I'm going to give you a few pointers on this. So knowing your numbers, number one, you want to know exactly how much you made in your business, okay? So for this, if you don't have a bookkeeper yet, this is key, that your numbers are tidy and in place, and that you know your numbers way before the year ends. Now, you're not going to get your full numbers probably until mid-January, but in my case, so today is November 25th, okay? And I know my numbers all the way to October 31st. The reason why this is important is because you want to know how much you made total, how much you paid yourself. You want to know how much you spend on things that maybe you didn't need to spend. How much you invested in your personal growth? How much you invested in mentors? How much did you spend on, Zoom, Riverside, your podcast, your photos, all of that? You want to know everything because you need to start putting your bigger panties on and start thinking, okay, what has been the biggest return on investment? Now, the other thing that you need to know when it comes to your numbers is how much you need in order to live the life that you desire. This was something that I was always a little scared to really tell myself, because I have big dreams, you guys. I want to make at least $1 million a year. And in order for me to get there, also, I need to start looking at my business as a whole. And we're not going to look into this in the next phase, but it's okay, can I scale? How can I make more, but not working double the time? So do you see how there is so many layers to this? But when you start having this clarity, you can start creating offers that align with what you want to create. You start creating offers that maybe you don't need to be delivering all the time. Maybe right now you're offering one-on-one services, one-on-one coaching, and then you can start creating something where you do one-to-many. A great example of that is I have one new client. She just joined the New Brand Academy, and she's a therapist. And now her therapy practice is full. She cannot take any more patients. So she's going into the coaching world where she can actually start doing one-to-many. So she can bring more people, and per hour, she can be either teaching or helping in a coaching capacity more people instead of having all one-on-one. And the same happens for coaches, the same happens for service providers, etc. Now, this is so important that you sit down and you are making your numbers not only on your revenue, but on how much you want to take home. This is where you look at your numbers, and you may not be where you want to be. You start creating your path. Because this is the thing, it's so easy to compare yourself to all the people on Instagram and all the people claiming their income and all of this, but you have no idea, number one, what is true. Number two, how much these people are truly paying themselves. And number three, you have no idea where the reality is, okay? I remember there was a photographer here in town for a while that she was charging next to nothing, and her work was good. And I didn't know her. And now, a lot of the photographers here in town were outraged by her, right? They were outraged by the fact that she almost charged nothing. Well, it happened to be that this girl was retired. Her husband made a shit ton of money, and she didn't truly wanting to run a business. So she was just charging whatever she thought, it was worth her time, and she was doing it. It was almost a hobby for her. So the reason why I'm saying this is because you need to look at your numbers, you need to look at your life, you need to look at your needs, and you need to look at your own fucking dreams. And that is how you're going to create these numbers. And the other thing that you want to have clarity on is that the number where you're at today is just a representation right now of how much capacity you have to take either on more clients or knowledge. Maybe there is a skill. By no means this represents where you're going to be next year. By no means it represents how good you are or your worth, okay? I say this so much because I know that that's something that I've been working on so much, because for the longest time, my self-worth was just attached to how much I made. And I'm saying this with transparency. So I want you to know that the number is just there to help you, to guide you, okay? The other thing is you want to write down the number you want to make, not the number that your gross revenue, how much you want to make, okay? Number two, you want to write down the price of your services, of the offer, and the average of this. Because when you start doing this, you start realizing how many clients you need to bring in order to get to the number that you want to achieve, okay? This is so important. A lot of my clients, they come in and they're like, well, my goal this year is to make 100,000, right? And I'm like, okay, how much is your average service? And I had somebody, she's not in the academy anymore, but like when she first came in, she was like, oh, it's $150. I'm like, well, $150, how many people you need to serve? And she was doing at the time only one-on-one. So I want you to really start getting clear on these numbers, so then you can look at how many you need to sell to get to your desired takeaway amount. And then you can start asking yourself, is it realistic? Is it scalable? This exercise is invaluable for you. Now, I want to recommend you a book that makes this so freaking amazing, and is Profit First. I actually recommend this book to all of my clients when they come into the Be Brand Academy, because if you are building your personal brand online and you don't know how much you're making, you don't know how much you want to pay yourself, or everything that comes in, you're using it to pay your bills in your business, you're not paying yourself, you're not going to last. You're not going to last. You're going to end up quitting, okay? So I want to make sure that you're running a business model that is sustainable, or what adjustments need to be made before it's not too late. And, if you're right on track, kudos to you. Information is power, okay? So phase 1, the audit. Phase 2, knowing your numbers. Let's move into phase 3, which is actually making the plan. Disclaimer, most of you most likely want to start here. You start writing, okay, I am gonna, launch this course. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do that. I urge you to don't do that, because you're lacking information without the audit phase and without knowing your numbers, okay? So that's why your goals are just wishes, instead of actually you being able to put in paper how are you going to make them happen. In order for you to have the information to make it happen, you need the audit, you need to know your numbers. So now you can actually make the plan. So random numbers on a paper and you're not sure why they are not happening or what it's missing, it's not a plan, okay? So number 1, I want you to break down your year in periods. I love having seasons. This is just for social media. This is for your marketing. This is for your visibility. We're going to break it down for you. So I like to think of seasons or periods of nurturing and periods of selling. So I want you to ask questions like, what will you focus will be? What will you sell? When? How? How are you going to be more visible in front of people that need that product or service, okay, in order for you to sell it? Now, it kind of sounds obvious, right? Like, what will you sell? And you're going to be like, oh, this is what I sell, whatever. Like in my case, last year, I knew that my whole focus was going to be on Be Brand and VIP days. I was wrapping up most of my one-on-one clients. I knew that the time consumption that was in there and like the energy that I was bringing to these one-on-one clients wasn't exactly what I wanted to do. So I knew that VIPs, I love them. So I was like, I want to do more of this because I absolutely love it. I love the Be Brand Academy. And this year, I actually have the pull to also do shorter courses. Like we have a video one coming up. I have ideas of like how to pitch yourself to podcasts, all these different things, right? But the thing is, it sounds obvious, but most people are being so general on their social media or on their marketing that they fall on deaf ears because your reader, your audience, your listener has no idea how you can help them. So I want you to really get super fucking clear on what will you sell, when are you going to sell it, because that nurture process is when you're actually nurturing your people and you're priming them in order for them to be ready for that offer. Okay, I'm not going to go into the strategy of this. I'm going to create I actually made a note because I think that this is like a key episode in strategy that you need to understand what is the difference between selling and nurturing. But the thing is that because this is a personal branding podcast, I want you to plan in here, what are you going to be selling? And also, what is your visibility plan? Okay. Are you going to be pitching yourself to podcasts? Are you going to host a live event? Are you going to attend live events? Are you going to be networking in person? Are you going to be networking online? Now, a plan means breaking down how many times, where, with which organizations, who are going to be the hosts. Write it all down by month, week, and daily actions. Let me give you an example. For me, this year, it's going to be a year of going, I'm literally calling it, I'm going on a podcast tour, right? Not only I'm doing my own podcast, but I'm also going on other people's podcasts. My goal is to be a minimum of one per week. So if I look at my week, there is no podcasting there, I am deviating from my plan. So either next week I need to have 2, okay? But again, for a month, sometimes they don't happen all once a week, but they need to be on the calendar. When am I going to be pitching? When am I going to be networking with these people? What events? I'm already talking with people in order to go speak, right? This year in different events. Why? Because I want all of those trips already on my calendar as soon as I can. Because remember that I already put all of my trips, my Fridays, my Mondays, usually it's Monday when there is no school, but because that way I can plan ahead. Now, the big goal, in order for you to achieve the big goal, it cannot be random. You have to literally be putting this on paper. Again, I'm going to tell you, you need to put what you want to sell, when, how, who is the person you're going to be selling it, how are you going to get more visible in front of people? Okay, every single one of these things need to be on your calendar, okay? For me, again, this year is going to be being on more podcasts. So if you're listening to this and you have a podcast, send me an email. I would love to be in it. I love providing value. I love talking about my business. It's my passion. So it's a no-brainer. Let's move to phase number 4. This is the most important of all, right? Now you have the audit, you know your numbers, you created the plan. Now we have to execute. You got clear on what you want and what you don't want. That was the audit, right? You know your numbers, you have your plan. And this is the time to actually take the fucking action. There is no secret sauce to doing the thing. And sometimes we still don't do it. We put it all on paper. We put the calendar, and then shit doesn't happen. So there is a few things that I want to bring up for you about this. These are my action pointers that will change it all so you actually take action. Now, I kind of want to give you a little bit of background on this because action is connected also to your belief. You're not going to take the action if you do not believe that all of this can happen for you. It would have been really easy for me to talk about SMART goals. We're not going to get into that. You probably heard about that before. If you never heard about SMART goals, when we talk about SMART goals, basically what we're saying is your goals need to be specific. They need to be measurable. They need to be attainable. They need to be relevant. And you need to have like a time frame for them. I'm not going to go into that. You can Google that. It's super important. But this is the thing. The goal, the big goal, should be something that is out of your comfort zone, but somehow it has to be attainable. And this is where a lot of people, when they talk about like quantum leaping, they talk about like dreams so big. And I agree with that. I have huge dreams, you guys. But this is the thing. If the dream or the goal, it's so out of reach, most likely you're not going to take the action because you're not going to believe that you can achieve it. For me, this is something that it has proven true over and over and over. There is two things that need to happen, in my opinion, in order for you to truly reach and even surpass your goals. Number one is you have to be fucking excited about what you're selling. If you're not excited, why people would get excited? If you're not excited about offering something that you know is going to change people's lives in any capacity, whatever it is that you do, why would you think people will get excited to buy it? So that's number one. And number two, the goal is to be something that excites you. It's a little bit scary, but if you're making 100,000 right now and you're like, I want to make 1 million next year, your plan, your capacity, your skills, sometimes is very, very hard to 10x that quick. So I'm not telling you to not dream big. Please do not get me wrong on this, but I want this to be something that is out of your comfort zone, but that you absolutely believe that you can achieve. Now, I remember when I studied with Bob Proctor, one of the things that he always said is, if you set a goal that you already achieve, is not a goal. For example, if you're making 100,000 right now and your goal is to make 100,000, it's not a goal. You already achieved that. So it needs to be something that is out of your comfort zone, that it's something that is going to excite you, that when you talk about it, you know why you get excited. So I'm going to give you a great example of this. For me, one of the reasons I'm going to give you a disclaimer. I love my life, you guys. I absolutely love my life. We live a really blessed life. Even before I started this business, I was in a job where I was making high six figures. I came home with $1,000 a night from bartending. Some nights I would make $2,000, like literally. I was already making money before I even started this business. But one of the reasons for me that is so important to make more is so I can actually sustain my parents, which they're actually moving here at the end of this month. By the time this episode comes out, it's in 2 weeks, my mom is getting here, right? We're putting them in an apartment that we own. So we obviously have to pay for them living here. My parents are retired. So all these things. So for me, it excites me. For me, the why behind everything I do, not only the why of how my ripple effect is affecting lives, but the why when it comes to me. So I want you to understand, why are you working so hard? What are you doing what you're doing? What does it mean to you? Okay, so you have that excitement to work for. You have the excitement of what you're selling. I kind of deviated, but I wanted to go there for a minute. I'm going to give you some pointers to take action. So number one is commitment. It's not the same to say that you want something and to be absolutely fucking committed. In order to take the daily action, you laid out your plan, and to make it happen, you have to be committed. Guys, girls, gals, not all the time I'm motivated. I show up day in and day out, no matter what. It's 11:30 at night on Friday, November 24th, okay? I spend most of the afternoon auditing. I spend more of the afternoon journaling. I did a workout because I wanted to have my endorphins going when I did this. And I'm showing up, recording a podcast episode on a Friday night. You need to show up and you need to be committed. Committed and interested is not the same. Are you interested in making something happen, or are you fucking committed? Okay. Number two, don't let your mind talk you out of it. Now, when you have big goals, many times fear, doubt, procrastination, which actually is a way of fear, perfectionism, happen because you're letting your thoughts control you, right? And those thoughts usually come from a belief that we have. I'm not good enough. I don't know if people are going to like this. I don't know if people are going to land with this. Is this going to work? This is the thing. Every single person that you see being successful out there, they try things that they don't know if they're going to work. But I want you to think, when was the last time that you gave something your all, your all, and it actually didn't work out. Now, maybe it didn't work out exactly as you expected it, but you know that when you give all your all, when you're committed 100% with things happen. So what I want you to understand is that you need to take that fear, that doubt, that imposter syndrome, whatever it is, and make it a bitch. Literally, I was having this conversation with my husband, and I was telling him, it's not that I don't have fear. It's like I do the things, and I kind of have this thought, right? Thought process that I'm like, you know what? Thank you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for warning me. But we're going to do this together with the fear. And I actually heard other people talk about this in different ways. People describe it as like, oh, they're coming on the driver's seat in the car or whatever. For me, it has been really acknowledging that fear is there to warn me, but most of the times it's not realistic. The fears are not realistic, right? So the more you wait, the more your brain will find excuses. Literally, it's your brain's job to give you excuses. So a few things that you can do in here, and this could be maybe going live or maybe announcing that you're launching something, maybe whatever it is, you have to take the action every single day. Whatever it is that you put in your calendar, whatever it is that you put in your plan, you have to do it. I remember I had a client that she used to say all the time, oh my God, every time I'm going to do video, all of a sudden, I need to clean. The light doesn't work. I need to call somebody on the phone. And all these things start getting on the way. Well, nothing is getting on the way. You need to press fucking play. So one of the things that I use for these, that because this happens, okay? Sometimes I'm like, just fucking do it. Number one is I understand that you want everything to be perfect. I would love everything to be perfect too. But the thing is, done is better than perfect 100% of the time. So if you're finding yourself going around getting ready to get ready, one that I love is the 5-second rule by Mel Robbins. Is literally 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. So maybe this could be you pressing play. Maybe it could be, I don't know, going on Instagram and announcing that you are going to launch something, whatever it is. But you just have to fucking do it, okay? And the other one that I love, and this is something, I don't even know if this is something that anybody else put out there, but I talk about this all the time, is the 2-pound dumbbell rule. This, what it means is like you start with something super small, right? Like a 2-pound dumbbell, and eventually you will get stronger and you will move to a 5-pound dumbbell, right? So what this could mean for you is like maybe you're not comfortable in front of camera. Well, you have to do it. You have to start, right? So it's so important that you take the action, because the audit, knowing your numbers and planning means nothing if you do not take the action, okay? Now, number 3 is create the right environment for you to thrive. I love this one because I think that this is where a lot of people get really caught up. So a few things on this. Number 1 is surround yourself with people you can talk about your fears, your doubts, your business without feeling judged, okay? These can be peers, mentors, friends also that have a business. Do not let outside people who know nothing about entrepreneurship get you down, okay? Because people sometimes will say things that make no sense and they have no fucking idea, okay? You are the business owner. You are the one that is on the shoes of a business owner. And the best thing you can do for yourself is start surrounding yourself with people that either are where you're going or they're doing something similar than you. The best way to do this is peers, mentors, going to events, networking, meet people that are in the same path that you are on, or they are a little bit ahead of you. Number 4, live outside of your comfort zone. This is so, so important. That is where the plans become a reality and magic happens here. Know how to differentiate when maybe you're out of alignment. There is so much talk about this on the online world. And I kind of want to stop here because there is a big difference between being out of your comfort zone and something feeling like shit. Like maybe you go live and you are super uncomfortable. You have fear of what people are going to think of you. Again, right? You have to do it over and over and over and over until it feels good, until it feels normal, right? Even a few episodes ago, and I can remember which one was it, I actually share that I think it took me 4 hours to hit play or to hit record for the podcast. It was ridiculous, right? I still did it. I didn't get up off my chair until I got it done. Because you guys, I wasn't born a podcaster. Podcasting was a completely new way of putting myself out there, putting my thoughts out there, putting my thought leadership out there. The same is going to happen to you. So I want to make sure that you're not confusing feeling out of alignment, not liking doing something with actually something that is new or expansive for you, okay? Something that is expansive may feel like it's breaking you a little bit, and that it's okay. It needs to be the right amount of scary and fun and exciting and nerve-wracking, right? Without expanding you so much that you're going to break, right? And this is where like that regulation of the nervous system kind of comes in, where what are the practices that you are putting in place, like breath work, meditation, journaling, maybe really getting clear on what are some of the thoughts that keep repeating. Remember that a belief is a thought that you keep thinking over and over and over, right? A belief, it's something that is going in your mind and you actually believe that that is true. I'm not good enough. I don't know how to do this. This is stupid. Whatever it is that it's happening, you challenging all of that is what's going to actually help you create the best year yet. Now, again, let's recap this for you. First of all, you need to have all the information to put all the dates, all the things that are important for your life, okay? You go first. Your life, you started this business to be happier. You started this business to have flexibility. You started this business to do things that you love. So I encourage you to put all of that first. Put yourself and your family first, the things that you want to do. Then you're going to audit. Where are you? What are you selling? All the things. Go back, whatever you need to do. If you need to listen to this episode, put it on repeat. Audit your audit. Number 2 is know your numbers. Number 3 is plan. And I want you to plan down to where you're going to network, who you're going to network with, which podcast you're going to pitch yourself for, when are you going to do it in your calendar. I wanted to add something that I think I forgot to say. One of the things that has been really, really empowering for me this year working with my coach has been to actually do a time audit and going through my calendar and looking at how little strategy time I had on a regular basis on my week. And we started adding literally 3-hour blocks. Yes, 3 hours. Why? Because when you're working on your business and you get to look at your business from a bird's eye view on a regular basis, I'm talking weekly basis, you start making decisions from data and not from your feelings. This is something that you need to learn how to do it. If you don't know how to do this, please reach out and I have some resources for you, okay? So audit, know your numbers, plan to the T, and then execution. Execution is key. If you don't execute, all the other stuff that you just did is good for nothing. So I hope that this episode really opened your mind because literally, you guys, we are in the end of November. The people that are ahead of you, they're already planning. Literally, this weekend, I will have a plan for the whole year. What are we selling? How are we selling it? Now, I'm not creating the content for that right now, not all of that, but how am I going to promote it? Where am I going to be? Literally, how much do I want to make and how am I going to make it happen? I hope this was so eye-opening for you. I would love, if you love this episode. If you can take a screenshot, share it to your stories. I would love to give you a shout out. Share it to Instagram, share it to your Facebook stories, and send me a message. I would love to hear your thoughts about this episode. If you started planning, what are you planning? What are your big goals going into 2024? I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you next Monday.